listeners, and welcome to another exciting episode of Loss of Lieutenant. This is episode 137, ITS 16.5, or the one where Jordan threatens to firebomb the CB officers for putting fucking B-Pong back in the game.
It's better.
No, it's not. It still
I didn't say it's
exists.
good.
It's not better.
I didn't say good. It's definitely better.
However, before we can get on to the discussions that are going to be taking place about the newest second half of this ITS season, we do have some very quick announcements to get through, along with some upcoming tournaments. First off, we have our quarterly challenge, N5 edition. We want to hear about your first impressions of N5. We want a battle report of your first game of N5, a battle report after a few games of N5, and the most creative use of the exceptional Operation Sandtrap terrain, and please email that to lossoflieutenant@gmail.com. And should you be so inclined to want to hear us jabber away live, or in this case, us sort of awkwardly sitting around for like 15 minutes while we waited for everyone to get here, you can head over to patreon.com/lossoflieutenant and join up as one of our lovely cocks for the low cost of $3 whole dues in Australian money. And now moving on to some upcoming events that's still around the wrong way. Alright, we're going to do this not in the way it's written, but in the order that they're...
Australian. The rest of the world.
Yeah, but it's also just the wrong way around, because Arc comes before what?
Sure, chronology may not be exactly a strong suit in our slides.
Australian because it's backwards. We did it. So, first up, we have Arcfinity 2025 on the 3rd to the 4th of May at the Sandown Racecourse in Melbourne. It is 300 points with reinforced command, meaning there is no loss of lieutenant. So if you've ever desired to play an obnoxious active turn lieutenant and not get punished for it, this is the tournament for you. Tickets are available from the 30th of January, so from about a week ago at $100 estimated. I think they're like actually 95, something like that.
They're 95.
I believe so.
95? Okay, cool. However, unlike a lot of other tournaments, Arc does put more of a requirement on things like sportsmanship and painting, and the overall score for the event takes both of those things into account. So as a part of that, painting is a requirement, so you need to be fully painted and based. And if you want to go a few steps further and make yourself a fancy little display board, you are more than encouraged to do so. We saw some fantastic ones last year, and we're looking to see some really, really great ones this year. I believe Tristan is running it, and I am likely going to be helping him. So you'll probably see me live streaming from the event, much like I did at CanCon. And then after Arc, on the King's birthday long weekend, that is the 7th to the 8th of June, we have Border Bash 2025, the second Border Bash at the Mirabina Community Centre in Lavington. The missions for that event are Cryogenics, Mind Wipe, Countermeasures, Panic Room, and the Armory. What a fucking... Boy howdy, if CanCon was this is vanilla ice cream, this is have a fucking bottle of hot sauce, motherfucker. Jesus.
I will play the first mission, be happy, and the rest of them can get fucked.
Look, I prefer countermeasures to highly classified, and that's pretty much the only good thing I have to say after that.
I was just about to say that Mind Wipe's like a classic, but I just realized I was thinking of Unmasking.
Yeah, you're thinking of Unmasking. Mind Wipe is like the more fucked one. But not only... Oops, sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
I was going to say, isn't it then it's 2 room ones as well?
Yep.
Yes.
Day 2 is 2 room missions.
It's
good luck,
the
kids.
2 worst room missions.
Are they the 2 only ones? Oh, we'll get to this one. We'll get to the one.
Last lodge. But not only do we have events in Australia, we also have some events from across the pond. So upcoming, we have Tidewater Tempest 2025 at the 8th of March at World's Best Comics in Newport News in Virginia. It's a satellite tournament. It is 3 rounds of resilience ops, 300 points, and space limited to 50 players. Fucking props to them if they get 50 players to play 3 rounds of fucking res ops.
Who runs Tidewater? Do we remember from the emails?
I don't remember, but both these events have been posted in our events section on our Discord.
I also want to say to the organizers of Tidewater, they've been with us from fucking yonks ago. So
Oh.
good on them. Yeah, when they first started, they sent us some sweet ass patches.
Oh yeah.
So if you're in the area, get down, support them,
and send us some more patches.
Yeah, I would never.
Yeah, I want 2025 patches.
Yeah.
I'll put one on my fucking loaded army case. And along with that, we also have the Talvisoda Satellite 2025 from the 15th to the 16th of March 2025 in Helsinki, Finland. It is a satellite tournament. The mission lineup are fuck me. Is Biotech for unmasking supplies, frostbite, and firefight. Woohoo! Good fucking luck. It is a custom editor firefight.
Yes.
I'm not sure how much custom editing you can really do with firefight, but good on them.
So they posted the custom edits on our Discord. Basically, it's a combination of the ITS firefight and the N5 rulebook firefight, where you get points for having more specialists on the board at the end of the game than your opponent.
Okay, I like that change.
It's a really nice mix.
Yeah, I like that change. This is an aggressive fucking. That is an aggressive set of missions.
Yeah.
It's not as spicy as Border Bash, but boy, fucking howdy, is that going to go the distance?
If this is an end in an actual fist fight, I'll be disappointed.
I know, right? But talking about missions, how about we start talking about ITS 16.5, the long-awaited second part of ITS 16, which up until this point, I think everyone can be pretty comfortable in saying was a pretty fucking boring ITS season, considering we had none of the interesting stuff for the new edition yet.
It was a very safe start to 16. Yeah.
They look, honestly, now that we have the second part, I'm annoyed that they played with our hopes so much and took out all the shit missions, and then we're like, what if we put them back in, though, guys?
This still feels like stupid safe.
No, it doesn't. No. You can't have B-Pong in a set of missions and call it safe.
The 3 missions they added back in had significant rewrites to them. So I am hopeful that we can then see more like that, where they look at them fresh and say, why, what don't people like about this mission? How can we adjust that? So, but before we get to those, we should talk about just the general changes. One of my favorite changes, they increased the font size of the skills to match that of all the scenario rules. Now you don't have to squint to read the scenario skills. They are appropriately sized to match the rest of the document. The scenario label was added to all the ITS and scenario skills, with the exception of Kazivac, Data Erasure, and Capture Tactical Element, which is from ResOps. This will come up with some of the other bonuses that you get this season.
I said introduce you guys at the start of the episode?
No, you didn't. I was going to point it out, but it's all right.
Hi, we're joined tonight by Tristan.
Hi.
Nick. And Jacob.
Yeah, returning host. I didn't go to Cagon.
We're professionals.
No, Jordan, you're just a shit host.
At least I showed up on time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, while the increase in font size on those to something more legible was probably my favorite overall change of the ITS packet, my least favorite...
Hold on. Are you saying the best thing about ITS 16.5 is the font size?
That would not surprise me at all with what I know about Nick as a person.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point too. From an aesthetics and usability standpoint,
right?
Yes, that is, because the previous font size was too small, especially if you start to try to accommodate older gamers.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The scenario maps. What happened? I don't know. They are neither scaled correctly nor uniformly.
Yep.
So it's not like they stretched the map because they're not even internally consistent with how far specific distances are.
They're even like kind of different.
Some of them
colours or
definitely
something,
were
yeah.
stretched, but on top
Are they
of
at
that,
least like the same color?
that said, for right now, don't trust the maps. Read the text and follow the text, because the maps are apt to cause mistakes if you try to look at them and just judge by how far things are apart.
Yeah, I mean the numbers are still correct, right? Even
No.
if they're not to scale.
Wait, the numbers aren't correct?
There is at least one that conflicts with the text.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
It's straight up. Someone has copy pasted from like a different mission.
Corvus Valley.
They've gone, oh,
Corvus
it's just a
Valley.
12-inch DZ with midpoint ones. Oh no, wait, they're supposed to be 8 instead of 12. Shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so good.
For right now, take the maps as a rough suggestion on how many items you should put on the table, and then read the text to figure out where they go.
I mean, I think until it's cleared up, I would almost say for the ease of it, it's you're organizing a tournament, just declare, hey, look at the pictures, hey, look at the text.
Yeah.
Don't have people
Jesus
fighting over it.
Christ.
It's just
That is just a mess. That is peak CV. I love that.
it is peak CV.
That is
You
just
you can't even blame it on like, oh, it's a translation error. Nope.
Nope, it's just formatting errors. It's like you didn't
Yes.
get like the intern to spend 20 minutes formatting this.
They pulled the same thing with their maps that they did with their tape measures.
Yeah. Hey, Tristan.
Yo,
You're like our local TO, right? So
I
what are the
guess.
tournament rule changes, Tristan? Are you gonna get players to submit lists?
No. Apparently, players may now submit 1 or 2 lists. You don't have to. You may.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Previously, it required you to submit 2, and now you can submit 1 or 2.
That's so good.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Journalists are now specialists. This is the spiciest thing about it, to be honest. And that's like pepper to white people. Like,
so
Hanno has a
boring.
whip 13 specialist for 3 points.
they do. Shaz doesn't. Because fuck Shaz.
No, Shaz get the 10
show.
Wait, does the Tencho have a specialist profile?
The only journalist in the game who is not already a specialist is the Warcorn.
The Tencho is already a specialist. That's so good.
Yeah, I was about to say they should have made it like, because I mean, I think we missed it before, but now they got the scenario label. It should have just been something for like scenario skills.
It could have been a lot of things, Jacob.
It's just like pull out to the wide shot, and it's just CB kicking Shazvasti in the dick repeatedly.
No, it's CB panning out, and they have boxes and boxes of that new Warcore sculpt, and they go, "No one's fucking buying it. Quick,
no one's buying
make
these.
the Warcore the best model in the game."
So
we must sell the Warcore.
Because of this change, it means that the armies that didn't previously have a journalist got access to Warcores, which means Vanilla combined Morats now have access, and I think Onyx now all have access to Warcores. So I look forward to seeing the converted combined Warcores.
I mean, I suppose with the new fluff, it sort of makes sense with Achilles going there, but it's still just such a boring change. They could have done anything else.
He brought his fucking like photographer with him.
He brought his agent.
He brought his fucking agent with him. It's like, what's my job, boss? You watch out for war crimes. If you see him, take photos of him.
Except for the ones I commit.
Yeah, except for the ones I commit.
That is not the other thing. That's not the only thing CB did. They also just removed stuff for no reason. So we no longer have reinforced command when we decide the first time to run it. We no longer have CQB because I guess no one played it because it was stupid.
That was just a bad one.
Yeah, it's
What's
just
CQB?
Shots over 32 just miss.
Oh, okay. Why?
There's a card in the
Resilience
Ops that does it, but yeah, it's just
CQC.
It's a horrible one that's
awful.
Really skews towards certain armies.
I think it's just like, oh, if you're really scared of like just having American tables, then you can add this extra to your tournament, and then
Yeah.
you know,
It's just the fucking like in case of American tables break glass.
yeah, you
Yeah.
invoke your right to run CQB.
I mean, it
Americans
never
Americans invoke their right to bear arms. We invoke the right to use CQB.
Yeah, it never really got run, but it does like a lot of like I can imagine a lot of like attack armies and stuff can suffer for it because their long range things are generally the ones that can reach out to like that 32.
It's just bad in general.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
bad.
Whatever.
Wait, and Mercs are gone entirely as well.
Merc contractors.
The Merc contractors rule, which is the
Yeah.
ITS CSU, the ITS Bashi.
Oh, sure.
Mercenaries is still an optional
Soldiers of
extra.
Fortune is still there.
Sorry, soldiers.
okay,
That's what it was called.
right.
Soldiers,
Soldiers
of
of
Okay,
Fortune
Fortune.
still there.
that's less sad. Yeah, good. I hated seeing those on my army lists.
Yeah, I did too.
And I think, to be honest, the other two, like if you want to run reinforced command, just put it in. Who cares?
Oh yeah.
Right, and then if you want to do CQB, you're insane.
Yeah, frankly, yes.
Yeah. There was a small change in how classifieds are picked at the start of each mission. Just a wording change of drawing and picking. They differentiated between the two. It's minor, but it does clear up some a potential misunderstanding.
So it says like what? Draw two classifieds, pick one. That's
Yes.
yeah.
So it's drawing is now you pick the card up. Picking is you decide which one to keep.
Okay, sure.
Which is good because I always had like I remember every time I read like that rule, I'd be like, hold on, how did it work again?
Yes, yeah. So really nice little like subtlety that helps to remove an issue that you can misread it.
It's a nice, yeah, that is a nice little quality of life.
Yeah,
good job, CB.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you worry, guys. We're going to get to the real good changes later. This is a big one. What's this ITS ranking?
Okay, so in the ITS ranking, where they're talking about signing up for tournaments online and whatnot, they've added a link to information about registering for your first tournaments. Although, full disclosure, I did not actually try the link, so I don't know that it works or even exists.
I wish they
have put information in there to try to say, if this is your first time, here's a reference to go look at about how to register for a tournament, how to prepare. Yeah.
Welcome to the hell that is OTM.
I wish they would get rid of fucking ITS rankings so badly.
Okay.
Here's this incredibly breakable system. That's it. That's it. There is nothing else.
Let's talk about the only thing that has actually excited me about this season.
Okay.
Take us away.
Tactical support is completely new. Basically, at the start of each scenario, depending on the scenario, you'll draw 0 to 2 cards from your tactical objectives deck before you roll initiative. And you get a bonus for the scenario based on whatever the symbol in the card is. And it's open information from the point you draw it.
Yeah. So before you draw them, you got to clear out 6 cards or something like that from your deck.
Yeah, you have to remove the cards that don't have a symbol, but probably the easier way is just if you draw a card that doesn't have a symbol, you discard it and draw the next one.
Yeah.
It's not like draw 2, pick 1. You just pop deck.
No. Yep.
So, yeah, you just
So before we discuss some of the issues that I and I'm sure many others see in this, we should go over what the tactical support options are.
Oh, God.
So, depending on the card you draw, you can get reroll a failed scenario skill roll, probably the best card in the deck.
No.
Automatically pass.
The second one is the best
the
one,
second
right?
one's better.
So automatically. Oh, sorry, you're correct. Second best and best. Automatically pass a scenario skill roll.
So
best card because now it removes the randomness and you can plot down to the order how many orders you need to push a button.
Yep.
Yeah, we should point out all of these are technically like single use, but some of them obviously persist.
Yeah. And they kind of go downhill from there.
Yes.
Choose a specialist, and they get to re-roll all failed scenario skill rolls.
I mean, that's
Not horrible, but you're
potentially like actually the second best one.
Supply rate.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good, because especially if supply rate or one of those ones where you have specialists designed
Mhm.
for that mission, that's pretty strong.
It also can effectively give your a specialist who doesn't have the scenario bonus of engineer, hacker, whatever bonus, a similar degree of
Yeah.
potential.
Yes.
Next, we have a wild card. You can then choose a specialist and they get sensor. Could be interesting.
So hold on, the wild card is you pick any result from the chart. So see the
Correct.
first two we just said.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can choose a trooper and they become a specialist operative. You can pick a specialist operative and they get a med kit. You can pick a specialist operative and they get a gizmo kit. The card that makes a lot of this a waste of time: cancel an enemy tactical support option. Selected specialist gets a Blitzen. Choose a specialist and they get an adhesive launcher rifle, or your lieutenant gets +1 whip for the initiative roll.
Yeah.
So, my one massive problem with this is when I scrolled through all of these, there is like 5 missions that actually get it.
Yep.
Half the missions don't even use it, and only dumb, stupid missions get them. Why are you going to introduce a completely new mechanic, and then if people just decide to play, supplies, you don't get it? Just
because it's a half-baked option and not in the good way. It seems like they're trying to put a mechanic in that has good potential and just is not complete.
The only other thing is, since it's only in like 33% of the missions, people are just going to completely forget about it.
Yep.
Way more often than not. And then half the time, someone's going to be like, "Oh, I cancel your card." You go like, "That was a waste of time." And the other time, it's like, "Oh, I'm rolling on whip 14 instead of whip 13. Yeah.
So
Pano player's just going to be like, "This is a whole new world. The fucking 13s instead of 12s."
So before I get to the actual problems with the current, there are some restrictions on what troopers you can choose to benefit from the cards. The troopers cannot be in hidden deploy or marker state. They cannot enter marker state. And they can't be irregular, remotes, or vehicles.
So, killer hackers just need not apply, basically. Killer hackers, hacking device
it
pluses,
gets more interesting. So, I guess first problem I see is there is a huge power imbalance between the slides, or between the options. Like, you can auto pass a scenario winning roll, or you can get a gizmo kit playing toe hop.
Yep.
That's made worse by the fact that it's completely random. Like, it's top deck. There's no draw pick to pick one. It's just whatever's on the top of your deck. That's what you get.
Which is weird considering how they do classifieds normally.
Yes.
It's on so few missions. Why would you just not let people draw 2 pick 1?
Yeah. And it's the other thing with some of them is some of them could really help with with classified objectives, but you don't know until you actually draw your classifieds, which is after you pick this card, whether it's going to help you or not. They could just be fucking useless. I mean, could you imagine you're playing Haq Islam and you're like,
after. because this
Yeah,
is
so-
after you pick lists, so you already know your classifieds.
I thought it was before you picked a list.
Classified
It's-
list.
No,
than this.
it's before the initiative roll, which is
Yep.
the last thing you do.
Ah,
before
yeah, okay,
deployment.
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, sorry. But like same thing. You huck Islam and you pick the med kits. You're like, I got a shit ton of doctors. I don't
Yeah,
need a
just
goddamn
yeah.
med kit here.
my doctors are already my specialists.
The other thing
Yeah.
I hate, this feels like what Speedball should have been. Like some of the options on here feel like a better
The
version of
options,
Speedball.
yes. The options, yes.
Hmm.
Like I thought Speedball was going to be like, ooh, send a dude a sensor. Like you give a guy a sensor, and then you go boo, and like, oh cool, I got a little
Yeah.
piece of tech. That sounds cool as fuck.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah. And yeah, I was just quickly taking a look. You're right. There's the reroll specialist thing.
Mhm.
It's on 2 missions. It's on, I think, acquisition, which is like a hacker bonus, and on supplies. That's it.
Hacker engineer for
Yeah.
acquisition.
That's it.
People
So
forget
if you-
about the old engineer bonus.
Yeah. But if you're not playing that,
Good luck.
the specialist reroll is there is a bonus and all that sort of thing. So it's not as good, but yeah.
Does it say you have to as well?
Yes.
You can actively hamper yourself then.
Okay, so you are, from the wording, you are required to use them.
Well,
So
at the ver-
here's some
oh, yeah.
the biggest problem I've come up with so far. The +1 initiative for your lieutenant, or +1 whip on initiative for your lieutenant. Does that mean your lieutenant can no longer enter a marker state?
No, but it would be able to, because the ones that would stop you from doing that are the ones that have like persistent effects during the game.
Yeah.
Like you've given a piece of equipment, or you've given the
Yeah, but it doesn't-
specialist reroll.
It doesn't say that.
It just says you're getting a +1 for the one roll.
No, it says the lieutenant gets it.
Nah, I don't think it would. I
Yeah.
don't think it would prevent, because you're not gaining. Your lieutenant's not gaining anything. It's essentially you're giving it +1 for the roll, and then once that roll's done, it's done, and then there.
That's what you would
I
hope.
think it needs to be cleaned up.
It needs to be cleaned up, but like
yeah.
the rules, the intent there is like super clear.
Yeah.
Like anyone who tries to like malicious rules genie say like you got the +1 initiative, your Daoyin can no longer be in a camo.
Yeah, you're anathematic now. Can't camo. Go
Yeah,
go
like-
fuck yourself.
No,
I
would love
literally
that.
no one.
I would
yeah,
love
literally
that.
no one is gonna be
And
like,
I'd do
yeah,
that.
that's intended.
Bro,
The
top,
other thing
top
is-
table against IA, that's me 100%.
how many times really? I can't remember a single time. That last one where I've lost a lieutenant roll because I rolled 1 over my whip.
I've definitely
like-
had. I've definitely. had
I'm
ones where I've
sure
rolled-
it's happened, but I'm like, okay,
It is
Yeah,
cool.
so. It is less than 5% difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's 5% if you're just aiming to get under the number, but it's a face-to-face roll, so it's less than
exactly.
5%.
It's one of the ones you'll hear the most complaining about of it, like ruining a game for someone. Is it's like, oh, I rolled a fucking 14, and he rolled like, I don't know, fucking what, he rolled a 15 and he was looking for 14s, but he had the stupid +1 fucking initiative card, so it doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna hear a lot of that. That one is gonna cause the most, like, this is fucking bullshit.
And almost one of my favorites, like a specialist trooper gets a blitzen, a specialist trooper gets an adhesive launcher. How many specialists are just garbage shots that you're like, I don't want to give them this shit.
There are some
And-
weird ones, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Yeah, there are some like weird like gunfightery models where like I wouldn't actually mind just stapling on like a Blitzen or a fucking ADL.
But if they're a gunfighter, they've already got a better weapon.
Well,
For
just
the
like,
most
because
part.
sometimes gunfighters lack templates, right?
Yeah, like a Blitzen's not a bad one because it also
Yeah.
covers range bands that not
Yeah.
all gunfighters cover.
But I think
I get it. I don't like it. I
Oh.
get it though.
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest change, like the cancel one, is stupid and should just be, if anything, and this is just off the top of my head, should just be a second wild card.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that brings up two problems. Firstly, you're right. The cancel is stupid because if the scenario only has one tactical support option, there's about a 1 in 6 chance that it's a waste of time because there's about a 16% chance that at least one player draws a cancel. And if one player draws a cancel, no one has cards, and you have just spent time finding that deck, shuffling it up, drawing the cards for them to do nothing.
So good.
The problem with the wilds, it happens before initiative, and there's no resolution to say if both players draw a wild, who has to declare first. Because it's open information as soon as you draw. So you know your opponent has a wild, and no one has initiative yet, so there's no differentiation of who goes first.
The other really dumb one as well is like if you've got if you do draw a wild card, it's like, oh cool, I just get to automatically pass a roll. It's like there's no competition. You have 3 things that do basically the same thing, but one of them is just the best one.
To be very fair, if I drew a wild card, I'd be tempted to like make Joan a specialist. I could do that. The reroll is obviously the best one. Like the not the reroll, the guaranteed roll.
For Pano specifically, like for Joan Pano list,
Achilles,
make Jean a special. Oh yeah, you well known to struggle finding good specialist army, vanilla combined.
I'm just saying it.
Yeah, I mean,
for something that like some of them just do fucking nothing, and some of them just go. Achilles is a specialist, and I spend every single order I have on him. I'm playing fucking acquisition. Suddenly, Achilles is pressing the button.
Even something like a high whip tag, like a whip 14 tag, like giving it.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it's suddenly a tags become specialists that don't have to use
the other thing you can do with that is you can do the same trick that like drummers can do, where your tag and the robot can both push a button in the same order.
Mm-hmm.
Because their peripherals can have different targets.
They're synchronized,
Yeah. So, and those don't have distance restrictions on them. So
no, are they not synchronized?
No, they're a new category of peripheral, and there's no maximum range between them.
The only difference between them and control is the fact that they don't start off on the field.
Yeah, they don't start off. Fuck's sake! Yeah, this is like the more I read this, the more stupid it seems. Like, why not? If they were going to implement it, why not just implement it in all missions? Why do you have a bunch of cards that don't do things in the missions that you have them put on for?
Yeah.
This simultaneously feels like the least thought out thing, but also let's make it safe as hell for some reason. Like, I don't understand what this is supposed to achieve. Majority of players aren't even going to use it.
Using the cards that you already purchased.
Yeah, I guess. That's...
Unfortunately, I look at this and I just go, oh, people aren't playing Resilience Ops enough. People are just rolling dice for their classified objectives. We need a reason for people to go and get this fucking deck.
You know a better way to do this? Roll a d12.
Yeah.
Because that it's more complicated because you draw the card, you have to interpret the symbol that wasn't necessarily designed to be able to be differentiated easily from the rest of the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are 12 different symbols, and then you have to find that symbol on a chart.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you take a look at like the third and the fourth one, or even with like the other one, there's a bunch of like sort of different crosshairs that look very similar.
Well,
yeah.
The symbols, I believe, were initially made in groups so that when you drew your resilience ops, you could kind of get a rough idea looking at the symbol of what type it was, but that meant there were clusters. Because the resilience ops objectives do have groups of cards that have similar objectives.
Yeah, vaguely similar to the symbols on the classified card.
No one's going to use the stupid cards. They're just going to roll a d12.
Yeah. I mean, like, I like shuffling cards and pulling them out. I'll use them because I have them. But the problem is I'm afraid that this is going to go the way of Oh, I can't remember the name of the zones that they used to have, but the zones
Quantum
that no one
zones?
ever. Yeah, no, the other ones before that, the ones that people
The
really didn't
depression
like.
zones.
Depression
Yes.
zones.
Yeah,
It's
the
going to go the
ones-
way where people are going to walk up,
Gentlemen's.
even in tournament, and go, "Do you want to use the zones?" No. Cool. We won't
I-
use the zones.
I have, I think, once, like one time, actually played with the depression zones
Yeah.
in a tournament game.
I
every
I
time-
think I was 50-50 whether I used the depression zones or not, and I
Like,
feel like this might go the same way.
Every time, it's like, do you want a gentleman's? And they're like,
I mean,
absolutely.
from like someone who just it was TO and CanCon. If you had a choice between letting them do that or forcing them to use them, what would you rather?
I wasn't TO in CanCon. I was just sort of
Oh,
there
sorry.
doing like helpful stuff, but like just roll a d. Like I don't care how you pick it, so long as it's a random method of picking it.
Yeah.
Like if you roll the d20 and say 13 through 20 are a reroll.
I think
I had
the
a-
correct thing is you have to make them use it, but it's a lot easier now because there's only one per side. I think the massive problem was you had 4, and
Yep.
how often was there more than 4 lanes in an infinity map? So every
Well,
single
yeah.
lane was covered in like a stupid terrain total zone that you stopped, and it was a sat zone. It was stupid.
Not just 4 lanes. I played on many tables where there weren't 4 legal places to place a depression zone
And you
because
couldn't
they
place
couldn't
one. You
overlap
couldn't
with terrain.
Yeah, and they couldn't overlap each other. So
Yeah.
technically, you couldn't stack them on top of each other if you needed to.
It's okay now. Can do
Okay.
one of each. They're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
2
that's-
is doable for most maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, these cards, there's really only what 2, maybe 2
I
that
would
would like ruin your day.
I wouldn't even say ruin. Like
It
really
depends on the army.
depends. Yeah.
Like some of them are pretty. Like I said, making like Jean or like Achilles a specialist is like kind of fucked.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, this is just like not.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Pano very specifically doesn't get high whip specials for a reason.
Yeah.
Even the tag thing. Like if you have like a whip 14 tag, the fact that you just get 2 button pushes is like, this is not. That's gonna cause some problems. Like
Yeah.
It also depends on what missions they're in. I can't remember 100% what missions they're in, but I guess we'll find
Yeah,
out
we'll get to
later.
that.
we just needed. If only they could take. If only they.
I mean,
I know it creates issues with the rules, but the only way to fix that is to get rid of attack on any scenario actions.
yeah, okay. All right. Fucking
So-
hell.
We haven't even got to the scenarios.
I haven't even got to the scenarios.
We're
and
not
just
quite to
mad.
scenarios yet. We're almost there.
We're almost there. One slide.
So some of the general and seasonal rules changes that apply to many scenarios, figured group them together because they changed.
Wait. I've just read
Wait,
the
what?
I just read the first one and it's like, what?
Yes. So dominate zone of operations. Seed embryo was removed from the example list of markers that count because it's no longer a marker.
Does it still count?
And I don't
towards
know how-
points?
Oh yeah, it still counts,
Okay.
but seed embryos aren't markers.
I guess not.
Were they markers before?
Well,
I don't remember when they were markers before, but like someone eventually looked and went, "These aren't even markers. They shouldn't be examples of markers."
Kevin, you played Shazvasti.
Oh, sorry.
Seed
That would also
embryos?
require people to play Shaz.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they don't have the seed embryo rule anymore. They now transmute
Yes.
from hatching.
Yep.
So they've gotten rid of it as example because
It's
seed embryo doesn't exist anymore. Like they will just
Well-
count for their points because technically they are a trooper that is a
yes.
SX model.
Yep. Yeah, they are now just a model and therefore not a marker example. Yep. Same was for Res Ops domination. Hazmat Ops and Key Ops cannot be vehicles. Probably expected and just nice little inclusion. Quasi creatures added a clarification that they are removed when they receive wounds equal to or greater than their vitality. So just nice clarifier, they do not have an unconscious state. They only take 1 wound and then go away.
Do
They
not pass
did-
go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
Yes. They went down in power ever so slightly. They were previously, their APCCW was previously damage 13, and now it's PS 8. So 5% less lethal.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should have made them goddamn structure. So they stopped getting drank by Norkius and co.
Oh,
yeah,
that was great
that
at
is a-
CamCon.
That is such a very obvious change that like should have probably been made.
Unchanged scenarios.
So let's rattle through these real quick because
I'll do
these
it.
are all unchanged.
I will do it.
Uh,
I volunteer.
one
I
of-
volunteer as tribute.
Okay.
Unchanged scenarios: Biotech 4, Capture and Protect, Countermeasures, Decapitation, Highly Classified, Panic Room, Supremacy, Unmasking, Cutthroat Superiority, and Uplink Center.
Yep.
Look at that. Fucking.
With the exception of like Biotech Vor zones switched from damage to PS, but it's the equivalent, so
Yeah, it's
no
the
changes.
exact same.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I think it's impressive to me that Highly Classified continues to just stand the test of time with no changes whatsoever. It goes to just prove the point that every time someone tries to make a better Highly Classified, it just fails, unfortunately. And better Highly Classified is technically in the ITS document with countermeasures.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a good mission.
It's just a very... Well, Kev, how come fucking Kev's running Border Bash, but for some reason Highly Classified wasn't in over countermeasures? I have to wonder if he got overruled by the committee on that one, because I know Kev is a...
I got countermeasures stolen from my arc lineup because
Ooh.
Ryan and Ivory suck.
All I know is that Kev froths Highly Classified for some
That's right.
reason. I don't know
It's
why.
in the arc lineup.
It's in the arc
I think
lineup.
part of it was they didn't want to have the same one in both Arc and Border Bash.
They could have had highly classified, Nick. They didn't have to take my countermeasures.
Oh, they decided first.
They stopped. No, I decided, and then Kev went, "Hey, the Border Bash crew want countermeasures," and I went, "Fine." And then they want cryogenics as well, and I went, "So you want 2 out of my 5 missions when there's like 16 missions in the ITS?" God damn it. Anyway, it kind of blows me away that half the ITS missions weren't touched.
Yeah, that's...
And there's
surprising.
very obvious problems with half of these missions. Like,
Oh,
Biotech War and Panic Room just
Yeah.
suck. Capture and Protect
Yeah.
can absolutely be rewritten to be less stupid than it is. Countermeasures, Decap, and Highly Classified, fine. That's fine. Supremacy is good. Unmasking is good, but I mean, it's fucking
like
old.
supremacy is part of that like core of like this is your like meat and potatoes vanilla Infinity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the core of like acquisition, firefight, decap, supplies, just that like meat and potatoes fucking like
Yeah.
basic Infinity. Like you're never gonna see a fucking ICS season that doesn't have supremacy in it.
Yeah.
Basically,
I mean, what you're semi looking at here is missions that have probably about half of these missions have survived from N3 till now, pretty much completely unchanged.
Yep.
I think Supremacy was a collapsing of 2 zone capture ones, Quadrant Control.
Quadrant Control died like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
3
Biotech
seasons ago?
Biotech Vor, I remember playing when I started playing Infinity, and I don't think it's changed.
Jesus.
And it still
Like
sucks.
that's how old it is. And Capture and Protect, I have an actually idea of how to change Capture and Protect, but that hasn't changed either.
Anyway. Alright. Scenarios that have changed.
So the minor changes, and then we'll get to the ones that were basically rewritten. Acquisition gained tax op 1. Firefight, the Panoplies chart was sort of updated. There's still immunity total in there. Frostbite got Tack Soup 1, and on a note, the ADS stun still forces 2 saves, but it's not DA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Frontline, defensive turret got removed. Mind
No!
Wipe and
What?
Mind Wipe
No!
and Mind Wipe and Supplies both got Tack Soup 1. The Armory, the Panoplies chart was updated, sort of, and the defensive turret was removed. Annihilation lost the defensive turret as well. And the spiciest of the minor changes, Battleground lost the HVT and classified deck not used rule.
Oh.
Does that mean
They
they
still
are
don't have
used?
classifieds or HVTs. It just means that in one of the beginner missions, you have to deploy an HVT and it's never used.
Oh my
The rule just disappeared from it, and I don't know why.
Fucking CB, man.
bro, supplies. Right, Joan's my specialist. She's running up the table. She's picking up a box. She's fucking off. Why?
No, it's even better than that, because if it's Harris Joan as well, she walks up,
passes it
grabs
to
a box,
Hellot.
passes it to the Hellot, walks over, grabs a second box, passes it to the Hellot, walks over, third box, grabs it, runs.
And your opponent's like, I got a gizmo kit. What is this? Why?
No. Oh, it's just as dumb for tags as well, because the tag walks up, grabs the box,
Passes it
walks
to the
up-
little dude.
No, because they can hold 2.
Can it? I thought it was
No,
baggage.
you need baggage to hold 2.
Oh,
so
Maggie.
Maggie can.
Maggie can. Maggie deploys her ancillary, holds 2.
Yeah, she can pick them all up then.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Maggie gets the bonuses.
Also, CB, right? Defensive
Well-
turrets, along with crazy creatures, are one of the best things you've added.
They are.
They were so good, you made a whole new fucking mechanic about them. Why remove them?
Or
No,
like,
fuck that.
It's because there's a whole new mechanic
No,
about them.
okay, fine. Remove the defensive turret then. Give it a crazy creature instead. This
Yeah.
isn't rocket science. Quasi creatures only add good to missions. I have
Yeah.
never been upset that there is a quasi creature on the table. They only add good things to missions.
Yeah, I think they are a better version of the defensive turret, although I can understand the argument to make them structure instead of vitality.
Structure instead of vitality is a very
Yeah.
easy fix in terms of just like stopping dumb. Well, we say stopping, right? It was like written from the start to be intended that way, because someone, I think Coney or someone, made a comment and was like, "No, that is as intended. We want you to be able to do that."
Yep.
I suppose vaguely lore-wise, like CI kind of know what they're dealing with, so maybe they're okay with eating crazy creatures.
Yeah, it might just be that it's a small enough case that they are not concerned about it. Or they'd rather the lore of it is organic, therefore it has vitality.
Well, as we say, the latest Warcore sculpt looks like a goddamn Dakini, and he's still vitality. So
why is it a robot?
I don't know.
Why does it have vitality still? It's a robot.
I really like the idea of having that alternative Warcore where it is robotic. It would be lovely for them to have a second profile of Warcore that just is vitality instead of
Structure instead of vitality.
structure instead of vitality.
100%.
All right. Do we want to?
Do we want to move on? Okay.
Okay.
Your favorite part, Jordan.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Hold. Before we get in. Okay. 16 part 1. You removed. It was the worst mission in the entire. You removed B-Pong.
It was the worst mission in the history of the ITS.
Very close to it. Like,
Mhm.
I have never in the only game of Infinity where my opponent and I, after the game, had to both look at each other, apologize to each other, and then hug it out because we behaved so badly in the game because of how stupid the mission is. I won 2 face-to-face rolls in the entire game, and I nearly won it 7-2.
Yeah, it was also one of the only scenarios where the debate of like who's better off going first or second didn't really
There was
exist.
no debate. There
You
was
go
no
first.
question.
You go first. You piff the B-Pong to your side, and you go fuck you.
No, go
You-
second. Second was obscenely good.
Oh, was it second? That was the best?
You
Right,
only-
sorry, my bad.
Because it doesn't matter, because all the scoring happened at the end of round. So it didn't matter. Your opponent
That's
kicked
right,
the
yeah.
your opponent kicked the thing to you. It doesn't even matter if they had a guy touching it either, because all your opponent had to do was tap one of the beacons and it would move immediately.
That's
I think
right,
they did change that, I think,
Yeah.
in the rewrite.
We were gonna
But
get
you
to
can still push the beacon from the beacon though, even if there's a thing touching it, I think.
We'll get to it.
We'll
Yeah.
get to it.
It's up
It was ridiculous. It literally
Yeah.
didn't matter what you did. There was no good way to interact in B-Pong.
Yeah.
It was just sort of like winning the lieutenant role in B-Pong sucked.
Yeah, because if you I lost, like, if you weren't set up to annihilate your opponent like first turn.
It still didn't matter. If your opponent had any number of things that could still push the box,
No,
they
like
could,
I'm talking annihilate
Yeah,
your
your opponent-
opponent.
yeah,
I
you,
only
like-
lost the only game of B-Pong I lost going second was because I got my shit
yeah,
absolutely pushed in.
it's an abomination of a mission. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done.
Mhm.
I'll be good. I'll be good.
Okay.
I'll be cool.
This will last for how long?
until we get to B-Pong,
Okay.
which is probably the next
So,
slide.
speaking of which, B-Pong.
Woo!
So, changes to B-Pong.
Hold on! Suitable for reinforcements, my fucking ass.
Start with B-Pong is now suitable for reinforcements. The mission objectives were rewritten. Specifically, the tracking beacon being on the enemy half of the board. It is now it was 1 OP at the end of each game round. It is now 2 OP at the end of the game. So the
What?
position of the tracking beacon only matters at the very end of the game.
Right.
And to accommodate for this, there are now 2 classifieds instead of 1. So, now into the rest of the changes. Deployment zones have gone from 12 to 16 inches.
Okay.
Exclusion zone has gone from 8 to 4 inches. The relocate tracking beacon skill, so the punt the beacon if you touch it, is now a short skill, not an entire order. So you can move and punt the beacon.
No. No.
The activate console skill, basically the one where you boop the button and then the beacon moves, has additional requirements. The tracking beacon cannot be in contact with a trooper, and it doesn't specify
any
friendly
trooper.
or enemy.
Oh my.
So, if any model is touching the beacon, you cannot move it with the button.
Fuck off.
So, this makes it much more viable to try to control the beacon by having stuff in contact. You can't just go over and have it teleport away.
No, because you can still walk up to the beacon itself and punt it, even if there's something touching it.
Correct. You can, but
That
you have
doesn't
to
fix
then
the problem of the mission.
It does force you to have models put at risk to do that.
Nah, because you did it before. All you had to do was throw smoke on it, basically. Because no one's going to put an MSV unit on top of the beacon touching it.
Okay, fair. It does not solve that problem.
Like yeah, fucking exactly, Kev. No, there is a problem here. It's worse now as well because it's a short skill. So you're not even like having to sort of jiggle getting into contact with the beacon at all. You literally just throw smoke, walk in with a specialist, tap it, it zips, and then anything on a console zips it even further.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to have to force people to put probably really strong like dudes controlling the console, at least force your opponent to knock them off.
Yeah. So the activate console skill also now is limited. Each specialist can only declare the skill once per game round. Which I believe, by the way it's worded, means if you fail the roll, you cannot try again until the next game round.
Oh, at all?
So for each specialist...
Oh, for each specialist.
Can only declare that skill once per round. So if the specialist walks up and tries to push the button and fails, they can't try again until the next game round.
that could lead to a lot of feels bad moments where you're like, I failed. But it's bad enough when you like fail to discover something when you're really close to it with like in camo. To have that a scenario skill, it sucks ass.
They have cleaned up some wording. So the nudge and magnetize results, so the two ways you can move the beacon from pushing the button on the console, are now place, not move. So in line with how the punt is, where it is a place within this distance, the activate console now places it, not moves it, so you don't have to worry about wording of how it gets there. It also clarifies that magnetize, which is the move it toward the center of the table, cannot go beyond the center of the table. So if you move it toward the center table and it reaches the center, it stops. They have added a new way to win the game. Sort of. No quarter rule has been added. If you just alpha strike and kill your opponent's entire army, then you don't have to worry about fighting over the beacon. And it won't end the game.
I love it. They're like, we need some way for the person who goes first to have a chance. It's like, kill their entire army, and you can maybe eke out a win.
We recognize that this mechanic is absolute dog shit, so we've just given the ability for you to play Annihilation until the third turn.
Yeah.
Like,
so, it is, I will say, it is definitely better than B-Pong was.
It's close.
I don't think it is quite into the good category yet, but it is nice to see that they have done work to address it and try to solve some of the issues that it had.
I think it's opened brand new issues, and the first thing that's coming to my mind is 16-inch DZ, but they've also maintained a 4-inch exclusion zone, which means I can't protect my midfield with mines, which means you're going to have a free run to just run at my DZ, and there is no penalty for you killing too much. You just kill as hard as you want. And you're incentivized now to actually ignore the mechanic, because if your specialist fails, you can't do it again. And if the enemy's touching it, you can't press the consoles. So I may as well just kill anyway. Like,
yeah. And the other thing is because now, like, the in their side doesn't matter anymore, right? Until the end of the game. There's no point. You could just be like, I fight for a bunch of rounds, always have someone just touching the beacon on a console at some point, and I just fight you the entire time until the very last order, where I use my sweet auto pass card to go. But and that's probably why they put you can only do it once.
Well, we don't have one of those in this mission, I don't think.
No, you get two.
You have two in this mission?
You get two.
There's two buttons.
No.
No. There's two tac support options.
Okay.
Are there?
Cool.
Did I miss that?
Oh, I was just saying you could do like the specialist, like
that's even worse.
Or auto pass or re-roll.
That's even worse.
I did miss that. Okay.
Do you know what that means? That means Joan is a specialist and she's running up the table and she's pressing the button.
Yeah, it's just like
I love that Joan on her way to fucking like cook your entire DZ. She runs past the beacon, taps the beacon, sends it 6 inches into their fucking side of the table, and then just starts blasting.
Yeah, I mean,
there's also, because the position of the beacon doesn't matter until the end of the game.
Yeah,
there is the option of just going up and pulling the beacon onto your side. Because you can score 3 points for controlling the beacon each round, and it's only 2 points if it's on your side at the end of the game.
Especially if you could like kick it into a forward deploying camo marker. You're like, boom, you hold it for a second.
Yeah.
No, because camo markers can't control things.
Yeah, I was about to say, hold on.
Things.
It's the normal control.
As a model, not a marker.
You just discover yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Camo markers can't hold or control things.
My bad.
They're just a thing. They exist, but not.
Like I agree with Nick. It's getting there. I think the things we've pointed out are kind of semi, like tactical tactical support is obviously just gonna be a whole kettle of fish for this mission.
I think it's super.
But
I think it's so fun.
if you had that, right, you have to either no one's touching it or your opponent can be controlling the marker, so you can't touch the button, forcing that fight, and maybe because you potentially have to have someone with their dick in the wind, maybe some actual wording about the beacon giving cover or something like that, like being a object, something like that.
I could definitely see
or,
that.
Yeah, that
cover
would probably take away the feels bad. It's close, but it's just not quite there yet.
Nah.
I think it is genuinely so cooked that the only thing they could think to do to give the first turn player a real advantage was you can just kill their entire army.
We also have to take this in the N5 context. If the first turn player has a shit turn, someone plays against Hector, he shits out 17 billion turrets and just sits on the button, and you go, well, what do I do? Oh wait, nothing.
You lose, sir. Good day.
I feel like they've just made a different version of Acquisition.
Yeah.
Because you're basically holding 3 things in the midline, practically, and you just do it at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Good gunfighting engineers are going to have fun with this, being on the second turn, being able to put down deployable cover and turrets. Yeah.
Are there any good gunfighting engineers?
Evader.
Oh yeah. Does the Evader get deployable cover though?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Probably not. I don't think Cockrum gets anything.
Honestly,
nobody gets sick duos.
I've said this many times. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. I've said it many times. CB need to consider the GW style of scoring where it's the end of each player's turn, and each player gets 5 rounds of potential scoring for certain missions like this.
4 rounds of scoring.
4 rounds of scoring, sorry.
Because you can't score. It might have changed. You couldn't normally score in your first turn.
It's 5 because the second player doesn't score in their first one. Or you know how it works. It ends up everyone has the same amount of opportunities to score, but it's not dependent on who goes first and who goes second. It's like a tug of war, and it feels like both players are actually fighting over it every turn.
Mm-hmm.
I hate end of turn and end of game. I hate end of game crap.
I do too. End of game is generally it's a much less. It encourages play annihilation. Any mission that has primarily end of game scoring, it just encourages you to play annihilation with extra steps. You want dynamic end of round scoring where you're forced to interact with the mission every turn, and your opponent always has a way to come back during their turns, not just making a Hail Mary at the end of the game. And end of game scoring just never really clicks properly for me.
Yeah, I mean, it always worked on when the objectives were bigger, but when it's just this tiny point, it sucks ass. It works better when the objectives are bigger.
Is Evacuation better, Nick?
Yes.
Some wouldn't let you think so.
It is better than it was. And I would say significantly better than it was. So, start off, it also got Tech Soup 2. So basically the 3, B-Pong, Tech Soup, B-Pong, Evacuation, and Last Launch all got Tech Soup 2. The scenario got a fair rewrite. For the objectives, we lost 1 civilian, so there's now 2 classified objectives instead of 1. The exclusion zone was removed. There are now 4 civilians instead of 5. They removed the central civilian, but also the remaining 4 civilians. They're still 8 inches from the center line, but they are now 6 inches from the board edge instead of 12. So they are pushed to the sides. This is to make the extraction consoles available, or room for the extraction consoles in the middle of the board. Previously, there was one extraction console. Sorry?
The wood chippers are in the middle of the board.
Yes. So previously, the extraction consoles were centered on the DZ lines, and they are now on the center line, 16 inches in from either board edge.
Yeah.
Activating the consoles, you can no longer activate the extraction console during the first game round. They also removed a line about you can't, or to verify that you can use both consoles, but there's no longer an issue of misinterpreting one as a friendly versus enemy. They also added the forward observer bonus, which is nice because it's an underutilized bonus.
Thank God. Deeply underutilized.
So it now requires fewer orders because there's one less civilian, and it's now forcing a central conflict because it's not run up, grab stuff, and retreat. It's now grab stuff and then go toward the middle where you need to interact with the terrain to extract civilians.
Yeah. I feel like this mission, I mean, obviously less problematic than B-Pong when it came out, but I feel like the way they position it now is people are going to see this in tournaments and be like, what's my fast piece? Because anything can do extraction that will grab a civilian.
You need a specialist.
Oh, so anyone can grab the civilians.
Oh, yeah.
A specialist has to extract them.
Yeah, so I can see that just like bikes going, I grab one, because you can grab two civvies if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Go grab one, extract them both in my first turn.
So first of all, you can't use the extraction in the first round.
Oh yeah, first turn. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And most bikes are impetuous and can't civ evac.
Yep, because you can't remove the impetuous anymore.
Yeah, I'm forgetting.
I think it's the 1-1-2.
Yes, the 1-1-2 is the only.
Is that the only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, forget my entire point. Sorry for wasting the last 30 seconds of people's lives.
So
you are fine.
The flow of how the game will play out on the board is going to be better. Because it's now you want to kind of split off, grab the ones on the sides, and then drag them into the center. And you don't have the rush of, I need to push to get all these done in one turn because I can't on first turn.
Yeah.
First turn, you can go and grab as many civilians as possible. But you also now have to consider fortifying the center of the board to prevent your opponent from getting there to extract civilians.
Yeah. I feel like lists for this mission are going to, you're going to plan for like a couple of ways of doing it. You're either going to plan to grab the civilians on your opponent's side, hide them, or something like that. You're going to try and make like the center like this really hard fight for your opponent, right? Or you're going to do, that's the only ones I can think of right at the moment. There's actually a lot of choices when building a list for this scenario.
Or again, you just play Annihilation, kill all your opponent's specialists, and they can't do the mission.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
I like missions that have like requirements, like we have a QAZ here, I need a CC specialist, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
When a mission says you can't do the mission in the first turn, I think there's an inherent flaw with the mission.
Yeah, I think this one might be better served with potentially having extraction zones that you take at the end of something like a round or something like that, where maybe you pull out one civilian each point that you control.
I don't know. It's probably I will say it's probably the best iteration of a rescue type mission that has been in the ITS.
Yes.
Rescue and evacuation were typically very low scoring, very difficult to actually do the mission type scenarios, and this is a lot more open.
It's also easier to hit 5 points now that we have 2 classified objectives.
Yes.
So now to hit 5 points, you need to get 1 HVT and 1 civilian evac and 2 classified objectives.
That still feels like, to me, it's going to be a lot of 4-4 draws.
Oh, it's definitely a lower scoring point scenario, but I think it's now more viable than it was to hit that offense bonus. Great? No. But like it's now something you can potentially work toward. Rather than just kind of going, I'm going to score enough points to beat my opponent and just bog down everything else. There's nothing worth trying for.
I think at the very least, this mission gives good opportunity for you to, as the first player, be annoying and delay the second player. It's no longer, I grab the two on the side, go to the center, get rid of them, then I play the rest of the game for 2 turns. Because Evacuation essentially was almost like a game you played with 2 rounds left. Because the first round, you grabbed your own civilians, you popped them into their extraction console, and then you focused on your opponent.
I found that Extraction was one of the least interactive missions in the entire game.
Yeah, you just didn't fight.
My last Border Bash, my game against Corey, we didn't have a face-to-face roll. I just spent my turn extracting my civs. Corey extracted his. I got the center one, so I won. And that was it. We didn't interact at all.
I think the only time I super played it was like, it was just Brando grabbing the things and doing stupid shit. I just threw smoke everywhere.
With putting the consoles in the center, it will force some level of interaction that was discouraged in the previous version because you had to retreat away from your opponent to accomplish the mission.
Yes. This is going to be good. I just hope that the ITS in general doesn't kind of become, we have 5 interesting scenarios, but they're actually all annihilation. Because I don't like annihilation.
Well, I think that's why. I think that's
Everyone
why we still
likes
see
cryogenics.
Yeah, I think that's why we still see unmasking a lot, highly classified a lot, and like supremacy a lot, because they work, they make sense.
Yes.
Right. You have a good combination of doing objectives, like positioning, fighting, all that sort of thing. Whereas these ones are trying to be interesting, where it's like this is all supposed to be clandestine spec ops stuff. They're trying to get that flavor in. And they just haven't quite got it yet.
Oh well. Better than it was.
Yeah, much better than it was.
Alright, we'll go for Jordan. God damn it. What's Kev saying? I can't see.
I did have the chat open.
Sorry.
Is he yelling at me because I'm dissing his beloved missions?
Yeah. Actually, I think he left a little while ago.
Yeah, he headed off a bit ago.
Yeah.
Alright, fair enough. Alright.
Like last, we have last launch. So one of the most egregious changes in the entire packet, they removed Dante's credit from creating the mission.
Fucking bullshit.
I cannot believe that. CB, Australia will invade Spain to fucking get that credit back on there. They've still got on unmasking the credit for the war corps who made it.
Yep.
They have countermeasures credit.
Yeah.
Every mission still has the credit except for last launch. And they pulled it off last launch. So I'm hoping it's an oversight. Please add that back. He did a lot of work in creating this mission. And the framework for evacuation. Please give him credit again.
CB,
well deserves
I'm
that.
warning you, Lost Lieutenant will make their own ITS packet, not just a custom mission packet. We'll make our own ITS packet that will destroy yours. I guarantee you.
With law, by the way, so watch out. Think about what we will do.
Show up on OVS. If we have this motherfucker Nick writing it, our formatting is going to be so much better. Hell yeah! We have this motherfucker Nick formatting it there.
Sorry, Jacob can write the law. Nick can write the missions, and I'm going to make all the crazy ITS extras.
Toha Resurgence.
Oh, mate.
Oh, God, no.
Anyway, CB, that is all to say, give Dante back the credit. He deserves it.
Yeah. So last launch, again, gained TAC Soup 2. The main objectives I think so got reshuffled. Extracting more army points went from 4 to 2, and the classified objectives went from 1 to 3.
Oh my god. What?
So it is no longer like whoever got more points basically just wins the mission.
Yeah, I think that
there's
was the big
more-
problem with it before.
There's more mission to do. They removed the exclusion zone. However, you're not allowed to deploy inside the launch tower. Note, this is not an exclusion zone. You cannot get around it using border skirmishes.
Okay. It's
Okay.
it's the same as Armory, where you just are not allowed to do a
Yeah.
thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Sure.
So the ID scanners, the text was unchanged, but the map now says they're 12 inches in. Ignore the map. The maps are
Maps are wrong.
buggy. Common rules for ID tokens. This is just nice little clarity. ID token is removed if the trooper carrying it enters the dead state. Because there's no rule to pick it up. Good to clarify that. Yeah, it's just it goes with them to the afterlife.
Well, because it was like keyed to their vital signs or whatever. Like it makes sense.
Yeah. Also, one of the probably most asked questions about the mission. If you extract your lieutenant, it can trigger loss of lieutenant on your next turn.
As it should.
Yes, as it should. It just I can
Go
understand
on.
why that was a commonly asked question. It is nice that they addressed that.
It is very nice.
They removed the Evo hacker rule.
For a very
and Evo
specific
hackers
reason.
now require their own ID to extract, just like everyone else.
Is there a really expensive Evo hacker in the game?
No,
So
but
the
almost all Evos have baggage. And so it became an option to play this mission is you took as many Evo hacker baggage bots as you could, and you just mad rushed them and extracted them.
It wasn't even just that as well. It was people just sort of mapped it out that an Evo hacker needs like 3 orders to just launch itself into the sky on turn 3, and if you go second, that can just win you the game.
Yeah.
The fact that you just ignored the mission entirely, basically, and like your fucking probot was just like, I'm on a mission from Gad.
I love the fact that technically, like, command of every single army in the human sphere is twice as happy that a robot came back with a bunch of mines and ammo than to have like 2 Fusiliers come back. They're like, fuck those 2 guys. You brought back the goods.
Yeah. It was very much a like I didn't play last launch before CanCon when I didn't play any games of it. I just asked Josh, I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, do you have an Evo hacker? I'm like, yeah. He's like, just walk that in on turn 3. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
It was a very, very easy to cook mission in that regard.
The one thing, just looking through the way that all of these things is written, is I feel like this is gonna. If you see this mission in your in the packet, lots of tags because all the tags now have a specialist with them
that they can just launch.
Then give them their tag buddy the ID, which needs no roll and tag's
just
gone.
Pass off. And because their buddy is a peripheral, they extract with the tag when the tag extracts, as long as they're inside the building.
That doesn't matter. He's not worth any points.
Yeah, they are. They're like
are they?
3 or 4 points each.
I thought they were equipment.
No, they're peripherals.
Nazmat's still worth points, Jacob?
Yeah,
they're worth like 2 points. Okay, yeah, fair enough. My bad.
Again, it's just another way to win on turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, everybody's going to want to run their peripheral tag with them. That's all. It's super useful. Like, while the little robot's off getting the ID, you've got this tag gunning everybody.
What are the other points? So there's extract army points. I think there's extract specialists or something.
Hang on, I've got it right here.
Shit,
so
does
we've
that
got
count the
at the
robot?
end of game have
true.
extracted more army points for 2. At the end of the game have extracted more specialist troops for 2, which, back to your point, Jacob, all those little guys are specialists, so you'll get
I don't think they're troops. I think they're equipment.
No, they're
No,
troops.
they're peripherals.
Peripherals are troops.
At the end of the game, have killed more specialist troops than the adversary for 2 points. At the end of the game, have killed the same number of specialists for 1. And at the end of the game, dominate the launch tower for 1 objective point, and then 3 classifieds for 1 each.
Right. So again, this sounds like Annihilation with extra steps.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the one good thing about this mission,
is that they can pull an offensive and defensive point because they extract more specialists and army points.
I was more saying that the actual killing objectives are relatively low on the OP point.
So is everything.
Like,
like nothing in this will score you more than 2 OP for doing one thing.
Yeah, but like before, with like the extract more army points or whatever, you would a solution to that is annihilating your opponent's army points.
Yeah.
Now your time is sort of better spent, kind of doing the objective, depending on what you draw, your classified objectives.
Well, also looking at there's no single objective anymore.
Yeah.
Previously, you had 4 points for extracting more army points. You had to do that. If you didn't do that, you most likely lost the game because your opponent then got 4 OP.
But now it's just like a mix of classifieds and sort of try and do the thing. I don't like this, like, we've just added 2 classifieds, 2 more classifieds to try and make you not play the mission, I guess?
I can definitely see reducing it from 4 OP.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
Maybe 3 OP would have been a better balance, because then it's still more than the rest. But if you fail that, you haven't lost the game.
Yeah.
I might honestly say if they were going to take one, like go down to 3 OP with the extract army points, put that OP onto specialists. Like one of those things where I can't remember whether it's like decap or whatever, where you need specialists because you have so many.
Firefight has 3 classes.
We have so many. You have like so many objectives that you need to do. You have to have a specialist. Same with this. You have to extract specialists. Therefore, you need a bunch of specialists.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So have that, so that then the next one, killing specialist, is just as important.
I am going to disagree. Just from my head math, because I'm not looking at the mission right now, you could take no specialists, don't extract fucking anything, kill more specialists, get 3 classifieds, because not every classified needs a specialist. And what were the other points?
Dominate the objective tower.
Dominate the objective tower. And
you're at 6.
And then
your opponent will be at 4 plus their
plus whatever classifieds they have.
Yeah.
So that then almost comes down to like tournament design, where I've had tournaments where this is the like one mission requires like you could do that, but then that list would only be for that mission, and you couldn't run it for the rest of them. You'd have like highly classified unmasking.
Potentially. Yeah. And you'd be stuffed going second, I think. But
Donovan brings up a good point in the chat. That 3 classifieds pushes the mission toward the territory of highly classified.
I would disagree, to be honest, because
highly classified's a different vibe entirely. It's all about the classifieds.
In
list, I know you kind of mean in list design, but I think that I'm off the top of my head. I think half the classifieds don't need a specialist, and one of those classifieds can be secure HVT.
Yeah.
So you only need to do 2 classifieds, and that could be Predator and goddamn.
Yeah. Also, much like Frontline and Firefight, you get to look at 2, pick 1. Unlike highly classified, where it's flip, look at 2, pick 1.
Yeah. I mean, you could get incredibly unlucky and like draw 2 hacker classifieds and be like, "Oh shit!" But there are going to be scenarios where you could theoretically take no specialists and lock your opponent out of those points.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, last time I played it in the previous seasons, I think the one that probably needed to have more points introduced to it, is dominate the launching tower at the end of the game. Because it's worth one objective point. If you're better off just getting as many armor points off the table as possible.
Well, no, it's stupider than that, isn't it? Because it's not dominate the tower; it's dominate the objective within the tower.
No, it's dominate the launching tower.
Oh, it's actually just dominate the tower.
Yeah,
Okay, it
it's
might have been
dominate the entire building.
Okay, cool. It might have been last season where you had to dominate like the antenna inside of the tower.
I think that was almost a concession. Like, you got something into the room, but it's not worth enough points to beat your opponent for the more extracted. So you get a point. Congratulations, you're one order short, or something like that.
On the specialists, for this, I think it's balanced. So if you take no specialists, you lock your opponent out of 2 points, but you also lock yourself out of 2 points.
Yeah,
because there's no specialist bonus for this mission either, is there?
No, but you're absolutely correct, but you don't lock you lock yourself out of those 2 points, but you can stop your opponent from getting those 2 points. Whereas your opponent can never get those 2 points, no matter what you do.
Oh, sorry, what I'm trying to say is, if you don't take any specialists, you cannot extract more specialists, you've locked yourself out of 2 points.
Yep.
And your opponent cannot kill more specialists, so they've been locked out of 2 points. So you've reduced the game to 8 to 8 caps.
Kind of. Well, how am I thinking? I think I'm having a fucking brain fart. I think you're correct, but what am I thinking?
In other missions, that is true. In this one, I believe it's balanced.
While Tristan considers his entire life at this point,
Nick, I think you've actually broken Tristan.
This is another example. This is one of a really good example, because we're talking about not having specialists, where because this has 2 tactical support options, if you draw the one that forces you to make one of your units a specialist, right? Your entire plan for your list, sure, it's only one specialist, but you never know. Your plan for that list can go out, completely go out the window, where you're like, I locked you out of the points. I'm now forced to make someone a specialist.
Yeah.
That's true. I think what I was trying to get at is I think you've both locked yourself out of 2 points, but in having taken no specialists, you can also force kill your opponent to the point where they will never be able to extract or do anything with any specialist, which locks them out of another 2.
The only way to inadvertently counter that is your opponent happens to play an army with a single specialist, and all he does is extract. The first turn he does is he extracts that singular specialist so that he gets his points and you don't get yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, right? Because if you've got no specialist and they have one, you can kill that specialist and they can't extract that specialist. Right. But in the flip side, if they have one specialist and you have none, they go, well, that's my entire turn, is getting him out of this out of this
I feel like what I am trying to say is, if by some miracle you kill your opponent's specialist, and at the end of the day neither of you have any specialists extracted, it's +2 for the person who took no specialists.
Yeah. But like I said, there's the flip side of that.
Well, there is the flip. Yeah, there is the flip side that they extract it and they get those 2 points. But then that's even.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting thing. They normally have, what it says at the end of the game, have killed the same number of specialist troops as the adversary. Normally, they have so long as one has been killed. At least one has been killed.
I think that's with the console. I think that's with pressing buttons and stuff. I'm not sure about specialists. I think they just assume stuff's going to die.
Probably.
No, for last launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you kill the same number of specialists, you get 1 point, but it requires you to have killed. Oh, hang on. No, it does not have the clarifier. You're
so
right.
If everyone has no specialists, you each get a point straight away.
Yep. If no one brings any specialists, you both kill 0 and you both get a point. Yay.
So if two Tristans play each other, they're automatically on 1 point.
Well, if two Tristans play each other, he's playing Annihilation, and then
Yeah.
who's extracted their 5-point baggage bot or whatever. And then what are the? I wonder what the odds are for the tax suit pulling get a specialist.
Oh, well, there's 12.
1 out of 12.
And
Is
so
it
it's
1
1
out
out
of
of
12?
6 because there's a wild.
Right, so
Well,
it's one.
yeah,
out
but
of,
you don't. That's you choosing a specialist.
Oh wow,
and
it's
you
still
plan to not have any.
It's still the same odds,
Oh,
but it's,
no,
it's
so it's,
I mean, this
it's
might
1
be-
out of 12 that you will pull the card if you're not trying to get it. It's 1 in 6 if you're trying to get it because you would switch a wild to it.
Because this has no specialist bonuses either. Like this is also a mission for the one where you
Yeah.
where you pick a dude to re-roll all failed rolls for grabbing like the ID tag and shit.
yeah.
That's only for a specialist. So you just take the automatic success.
What? Have I forgotten how the mission works?
Oh, sorry. No, I misunderstood
What?
what I misunderstood what Jordan was saying. I misunderstood what Jordan was saying.
Yeah,
You would take the reroll. Yeah, you would take the reroll.
Why wouldn't you take the
Reroll good.
automatic success on the console?
Oh, I think the specialist can re-roll as opposed to a single re-roll. Is I think what they're saying.
Yeah.
Is it?
I'm
don't know.
just saying being able to re-roll for this
Yeah.
mission because it has no specialist bonuses is good. Of course,
Yeah.
being able to just pass automatically is also very good, but the other one is also good in this scenario too.
Yeah. Sorry, let's just say I misunderstood what Jordan was saying.
That soup is dumb.
Hack Soup is kind of silly. I'm not a massive fan, and I think if you wanted it to be a thing, you need like 1 in every mission, and not 2, just 1, and then remove the one that deletes.
Two in some missions is just fucking weird.
Yeah. I honestly think they would have been better off with maybe not the ones that affect like boom, like I automatically pass a game-winning roll or something like that, and instead of like like adhesive launches and blitzes and stuff like that, have things that add like more interesting things like unit gets meta chemistry or meta thingo gets bounty or booty or something like that. Things that like
I think that becomes too complicated, where you're randomly pulling a chance to randomly pull something else.
Sure.
I think my favorite thematically is like the sensor, and I would do like those niche skills that you don't necessarily put in every list.
That actually would be a good idea. Things like they become the veteran category. Things
But
like that.
Also, then this might be a fucking hot take. I think you should just fucking pick one. Don't make them stupidly broken. Just pick one.
Yeah.
So be like, I'm against Ariadna. I'm giving Joan sensor or Achilles sensor or some shit, and like that might be too strong. I don't know. But,
no, actually, I like that idea because it also forces the options to be balanced.
Yeah. It would be like what you're saying, like give them sensor or make them a vet or make them count as heavy infantry, like for the sake of classifieds or something like that, where it's like things that don't really affect the game per se in the way of like re-rolling objectives, but allows you to be like, I'm playing Arianda. Yeah, like you said, boom, I get sensor, right? Or I am lacking. I want a couple more heavy infantries. Boom, this dude counts as heavy.
So
infantry.
I like where this is going. Because you pull them after classifieds, that could allow you options so that if you have a bad classified pull, or you have a classified pull that isn't just bad for your list but bad for your faction, like Toha, here's here's 2 classifieds that are both engineers. Given the option that you could say make a specialist count as another type of specialist for classified objectives, or stuff like that. Handing out D charges, handing out sensor, handing out little stuff like that. You could even have one that hands out biovisor.
Yep.
Because while biovisor is usually worthless in profiles, if you can pick it at the right time,
that's the perfect one. That's the absolute perfect one. You go, oh, I'm playing against assassins. Let's go Biovisor, bitch. Come
Yeah.
at
Yep.
me. Discover
But-
shoot, you're dead.
But yeah, and even if you're like, oh, I pulled, especially like highly classified, like shit, there's the visor thing. I didn't bring my visors. Boom!
Yep.
Now I gave my Shang-Chi a bio visor. He's tough.
Yes.
He'll make it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It both
Hmm.
covers the classified and it's also like sensor, where it's like most of the time you don't really need it and you don't want to pay points for it, but sometimes it's really nice to have.
Yeah, I think a couple of like counts as right or like
Mm-hmm.
really inconsequential items. I'd almost say if you're choosing them, I might say pull the sensor because the sensor can be real strong if you're like you said Ariadna. But yeah, I like them. It depends.
It would also depend on how you could also put restrictions on who can get it.
Yeah, I think that would be more appropriate. Sensor
Or
isn't that strong a skill when you consider it's on like a 14, 15 point unit.
Or interestingly, you could go when we're going like this, things like you can ignore the requirements for one classified because I think that's generally the only like how it's got the requirements up the top.
Yeah.
I think so. You're like any trooper can do this classified so long as they do the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's definitely what I was kind of getting at. I think we're getting at with like allowing them to count as something else for classifieds, that everything. I think opening the classified might be too powerful, but allowing a specific model in your list to be able to perform a classified you wouldn't otherwise have been able to do would be doable because it also flags it to your opponent.
Yeah, or like even shit like for like extraction, right? Things like dude can reroll Civivac, right? You never got to use that.
I think the main thing that this discussion is like, at least putting a spotlight on, is that this idea was incredibly half-baked, and that the implementation just hasn't landed properly. Because some of these options are like way too good, and then a whole bunch of them are just bad.
Yeah.
So
like
this
giving random shitty guns is like would be fine if everything was sort of that level, but it's not, and that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, it's like I think they needed to make the choice of either everything affects like is more in the game, like the Blitzen and the adhesive launcher, which admittedly is too close to booty or metachemistry, or everything is super mission based, where like you said, like biovisors or counts as this, counts as that.
Yeah, I don't like the one where you just make a dude a specialist, because there are factions that are designed around the fact that their specialist choices are limited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, giving Pano a Whip 15 specialist isn't a good idea for a whole bunch of reasons.
Yep.
And then even outside of that, with those new ancillary rules, giving a bunch of tags, like even a Whip 13 tag, it's like, I don't know, I get two dice rolls at Whip 13 or Whip 12.
Well, it's like a reroll, except for both dice are real.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, honestly. I think that it's just not well implemented.
And some of these cards could lead to, like, I can only imagine you've got a stigma. You're like, oh, cool. My stigma rerolls all the scenario objectives. I was already going to use him. Now he just doesn't fail.
This brings up an age-old question of if Infinity should ever have guaranteed rolls for objectives.
No.
There you go. Like, some people think that the randomness of rolling objectives is too much, and the smaller percentage that you fail 5 or 6 times in a row and that loses you the game is too punishing. But CB have, as everyone has said, half-assed it and gone, well, maybe you can press a button for free, but maybe you can't. We're just testing it. But they've opened the floodgates for that.
And the thing is, like, take a look at Infinity already has objectives that you technically already complete automatically. It's all the ones that are controlling an objective or an area. When you take a look at other game systems like Warhammer, where you have to do something to complete an objective and get points, you then generally have to have a trade-off. So often it's like that unit can't do anything for the rest of the turn. They stay still. They do that objective.
Yeah.
But that's sort of like built around the fact that units in Warhammer activate once.
Mm-hmm.
No, but what I'm saying is that Infinity has their gamble, their downside to doing an objective, which is you need to roll a dice and hope that your whip check passes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's how CB have balanced that sort of thing in their game, where it's a roll. You want to try and get the best roll you can, and sometimes, right, RNG just fucks you over.
Well, that's part of the risk and planning. So you plan how many orders you expect certain things to take. And when they don't take as many as you planned, yay. When they take more than you planned, you have to figure out how much buffer you had in there. And yeah, sometimes that's how the dice goes. It's a dice game.
Yeah, exactly.
In the end, there will be a degree of chance. And it's how you deal with that.
Yeah, so it would be a case of like, if you want it to be an automatic success, you make it a long skill or something like that, and then everybody puts a hidden deployment unit looking directly up the objective that blows the dude up straight away.
I think it's less about how much it costs to do it, and more the fact that we're not playing chess where stuff is like completely solved. We're playing an ever-evolving game state where if it's turn 3 and Nick knows Northeus is going to have one shot to press this button, that's the calculation Nick makes, not that Nick can, I have 4 wounds, I spend 2 orders running this direction, and I guaranteed press the button and I win.
Yep.
There's no failure state there.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I'm just saying that's how, like, CB balances their thing. They go, instead of instead of, like, punishing you, you have to do math and calculate the chance.
By that token, they're never, no matter how expensive, like, you can't really debate how expensive it should be to automatically press a button. It just shouldn't be a possibility.
Yeah.
One option, and Donovan in chat kind of alludes to it, if you change the automatic success to pick a roll before you roll it, it gets +3 in a reroll. Like,
that's just
close
it's
close, but it's not perfect. It still has a failure state.
I've seen people do it.
No, you can stack the dice in your favor. But
it's playing within the rules that Infinity already has established.
Sorry, you're gonna have to pick a roll and then.
Oh, so in the case of the
it's basically give a thing specialist bonus, basically.
So before you roll, it's an automatic success. In this case, saying if we replace that with before the roll, you get +3 whip and a reroll for that one roll.
Oh, okay, right.
You give a thing the specialist bonus.
Yes.
So you're like, boom, this is the one roll that matters.
Yeah.
Correct. And
gotcha.
Like that, like Trish said, stays within the current design space of Infinity. It very much stacks the deck in your favor, but it still has a failure state, and you still have to account for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so mad if I have to play a game of B-Pong at a tournament this year.
Next CanCon, baby.
I'm gonna be so fucking mad, dude.
Woo.
Like,
you need CanCon.
ITS 17 is coming out this year, so next CanCon will be 17.
Knowing how fucking luck it's gonna stay in the fucking holder.
Take a risk. Your game has solid rules. So long as you don't go absolutely mental and make 20 B-Pongs, you can make weird, cool missions, and it's fine. Like,
you can tell they've identified missions that are a problem. There is a reason why looting and sabotaging
was
isn't
removed
in the ITS document.
But Panic Room still is. Fuck, I hate Panic Room.
Fucking tic-tac-toe and
engineering deck?
transmission I was thinking transmission matrix, the
What's
one
the
where you
one?
could that you
No,
could just
I
like
think the fucking one from season 10, Deadly Dance, where you
Yeah,
had to have a tag.
Yes. Oh.
well yeah,
No, Jacob,
that
don't
was a
defend
problem.
that mission. Yeah,
No,
don't
the worst part about Deadly Dance wasn't the fact you had to take a tag, was the fact that you could get completely fucked by
You
the
absolutely could. You
the
could do the mission and still get
objectives.
fucked over by it just not wanting to move objectives.
Yeah, because you could. I think you could start with the 2 zones on your opponent's
You
side.
could, yeah.
That was it. You were like
So
your first
dumb.
turn was fucked.
So dumb. Alright, well,
CB, if you were looking for inspiration for new scenarios, we do have a lovely mission packet
may I
with
suggest?
some great, well thought out scenarios that can be tweaked to your heart's desire.
There's a really good one in there called Hammer of Dawn. You should check it out.
You've done it before, CB. In fact, a quarter of the missions in the pack now are custom, and most of those are from Australia. Just let us write the ITS document.
Just hand the ITS document over. We'll call Kev up and Kev can handle it from now on.
Kev goes on holidays to Spain all the time. He can hand it in there in person.
I'm not convinced Kev actually has a job. Every post I see from him is like, yeah, we're in like Turkey for like a month.
He's living the high life now that he's
living the high life.
not part of a certain small internet podcast.
Small internet podcast. All right. Well, I think
I want to keep
before we
ranting.
devolve any further, there's only so much ranting we can do. We've very strongly articulated our issues with pretty much everything that's been put forward.
CB, play Panic Room. Just play it once. I guarantee you haven't played it because it's dog shit.
I like that this is your white elephant because you played a game of it today.
Your DZ is 8 inches, and at the end of your first turn, not even the game round, the turn, half your DZ gets pelted with fucking biotech ball. And nothing can deploy out of your DZ unless it's at neg 3. It's fucking stupid.
Honestly, the biggest problem I always have with Biotech Vor is it locks the tournament out of having vanilla factions almost entirely.
No, Biotech Vor's fine.
Oh,
Biotech Vor doesn't have confused deployment.
Yes, it does.
Does it? Fucking Biotech Vor's shit too.
Yes.
Biotech
Vor, you have to move everything more than 8 inches out of your DZ.
People mathed it out. Biotech Vor's fine.
So,
there's a formula.
I mentioned it to Jordan before we started. There is something that we should bring up about. I feel like I should bring up about Biotech 4. There is an interaction with the changes to how command tokens work. Because you can spend 2 command tokens now. If you go second, you can dock your opponent 2 orders and limit them to 1 command token.
Yep.
So just completely fuck over any vanilla player.
100%.
Yep. So, good luck with that one. We'll find out how that works soon when we play Biotech 4 at ARC.
This has been a very complainy episode. We haven't had one of these for a while.
Yeah.
Honestly, this season could be exactly the same as season 15, which is effectively 2 seasons ago. Like, season 13 had 75% of the same missions as season 12 and as season fucking 11. Like, we got Frostbite, which is interesting and great. We got Cryogenics, which lived 1 fucking season. Like,
yeah, that needs to come back.
Seriously?
How do you make the best mission ever in ITS and have it exist for 1 season?
It must be the small minority, because people went, this mission's too hard. Like, it's too hard to think about. We have to make a chart to figure out how many points we got. And it's like, boo-hoo, motherfucker. It's a great mission because it has some complexity to it.
Yeah. Nah,
You're welcome
Cryogenics
to the chart.
Yeah, I do remember Nick being the one who made the chart. That was great. Am I good to move us out?
I think we can try again.
Are we good?
Sorry, you guys got me interested in looking at season 10 rules.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Jacob can do that, and I'll sort of like move us through the.
Yeah.
Okay. The one final thing I will complain about is
Okay.
Season 13 had motorbikes.
Yes.
Season 14 had Hackaware bots. Was that the Hackaware bots?
Point.
It had
Yeah.
Tackaware bots and
Takamori.
like the super jump.
Yep.
Everyone gets
Yep.
super jump and plus 1
Season
inch movement
Season
and stuff.
15 had the crazy
Crazy
creatures.
creatures.
It had
And better turrets.
and
It also had
something else.
the
The depression zones.
the
No.
SC or S or the
It had the QAZ zones.
CSUs and the bashies, which introduce people back to metachemistry and booty tables.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
And Season 16 has had so
Nothing.
far fuck all.
Mm.
Tax
Bit of-
Soup isn't the replacement for like the motorbike changes or like making sensor bots really cool. Like,
yeah, but again, a lot of those were like beta testing rules with Season 5, Season
they
N5
haven't
coming
dropped
out.
the ball on those beta test rules yet.
True. Well, I mean, they completely got rid of the bike shit now, but
That's an addition change though. But that was a really good change at the time.
I mean, they seem to be putting so much effort into tags. I feel like they could have done something to give them a bonus as well, really push them this season. Something small, I don't know. But yeah, this one, it just seems sort of like, eh.
And I know people are going to be sitting there going, oh, but they made baggage really good. And they're like, it's a whole new edition. And you got like news, who, cool stuff. I'm like,
part of it's probably that we also just had edition change, and their focus was probably on the main rule set rather than ITS.
Yep. You're better off changing everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like we're going to be playing fucking N4.5. I know it's N5, but like the missions are the same. So the general play style is very similar as well. But I guess that's I guess it's Infinity. I don't know.
It's a weird one. It is just weird. Like Fight Out is just weird in a million different ways, unfortunately. Like everything about the transition to N5 can easily just be described as messy as fuck. Unfortunately.
Well, I think they're writing like they are dealing with like sort of undoing 2 seasons, 2 editions almost of like samey sort of rules as far as like fire teams and stuff is concerned to like N5. It's a huge change. So
they've also tackled.
I don't know what they could have added.
They've tackled a lot of lower level issues in the game, as far as mechanics go. So like I think like climb, jump, not the special versions, but just the base level skills of them. And right now we're seeing all the ripples from that low level rules change.
Yep.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree that low level rules change was necessary. The number of ripples probably are not, but I'd rather have a fix at the core rules that were necessary and then patch fix the stuff that ripples off of them, rather than having to try to patch fix a core rule for an entire edition.
Yeah.
I mean, Infinity's still fun. We can deal with
absolutely.
We could deal with like quote unquote slightly boring missions until season 17.
I would just absolutely say that there's probably some people out there that have done a nick and not played since N2 or whatever, or N3, and they come back, they go, ooh, all these new rules are super cool. They put a bunch of shit in, they play Acquisition, they lose exactly like they lost in N3. And they go, well, fuck, it's exactly the same. And then they never play again.
Yeah.
Oh no, Flash Pulse, touch the middle thing at the end of the game. Retreat?
That's fair.
Ooh, fuck. Or they play B-Pong and they go, what the fuck is this?
Fucking Christ.
Could you imagine that? You come from N2, you're like, I really want to get back into the game. Someone says like, yeah, let's play B-Pong. And the person from N2 is like, what the fuck has happened to the tournament rules?
It's not far-fetched at all, because you look through it and you go, yeah, I know all of these. B-Pong, that sounds new. That sounds like ping pong. That sounds cool. Let's play that. Oh.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Nice. This is shit. Anyway.
Wow. This is shit.
CB, I love your game.
Yeah.
And I express it through abuse.
Yep. All
All right,
right,
Jordan, you're allowed to count.
Yeah.
You can send us out now.
This has been a very, very unfortunately downbeat episode and a lot of complaining. If you are interested in a much more dynamic, exciting, and happy and upbeat episode next week, we are doing our Loss of Lieutenant AMA episode. We are still collecting questions on our Discord. Tristan will put a link to the Discord in the description of this episode. Look for the channel up the top that just says Loss of Lieutenant Ask Us Anything, I think I called it.
Yep.
Put your questions in there. We'll be answering as many of them as we possibly can next week. Ask whatever you want. Be reasonable, though. Don't be weird, please.
Don't be weird.
Don't be weird. And until next time, I have been Jordan. That has been Jacob.
Yes.
That has been Tristan.
Yay.
And that has been Nick.
CB, call me if you want help with the ITS packet.
Seriously, call him. He's
Don't-
fucking god at
Send us an
formatting.
email.
The
Legitimately.
Loss of Lieutenant custom mission pack, entirely done by Nick. The man knows what he's fucking doing.
He's already done the work for you. Just put a
He's
new
done
title
the
on it and give him a credit. He'll be happy.
I'll suck
Jesus.
so much dick to get supply raid in the ITS.
Uh-huh.
And it will be the
Alright.
best mission in the ITS since
Alright.
cryogenics.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.